Oh God, why did I want to become an actor? I grew up in a very small little Texas town, and I found out early on I could get attention through being silly. I don't necessarily know that I was funny as much as I was just so silly and so gay, but I didn't know I was gay. But I knew that I loved the attention that I got from being funny. And then I grew up in in the 60s from television, and I just would watch TV shows, and there was something about it that called to me, but I didn't know it was calling to me until I did a high school production of the musical Bye Bye Birdie, and it was actually during curtain call of my Permian High School's production of Bye Bye Birdie that I actually, if you can ever really say you got bit, I really remember that as a moment. I grew up at a time where homosexuality wasn't talked about. It was it was no one openly talked about it, and especially in a small little West Texas town, it was just like you were weird, or that or it was that thing that happens in the Bible where God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because it had gotten so wicked that men were lusting after men. I had struggled with it all through my teens, and just was in disbelief that I was in denial. I was in absolute denial. And I kept thinking it was a phase, and I kept thinking it was going to go away. And I just kept and I kept thinking, eventually I won't go to the men's underwear section in this year's catalog. I came out to LA in 1977 and to study at the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute because I'd been accepted over the phone, and that means nothing. But I mean, I thought at the time that they didn't even need to see me audition; they could just hear my voice. And you're so disillusioned and stupid when you're younger. Fortunately, I went on contract with ABC for a year, and they popped me around to these different shows and tried to fit me into different shows. And Too Close for Comfort was one that I was not a fit. It was not happening, but I was doing all I could do to try to get seen and get the job. And they gave me a chance to read, and they liked what I did, and they hired me for 2 episodes, and then it kind of grew from there. I played a character named Monroe Ficus, and Monroe was initially they wanted someone short and nubbish, and so not like me, flamboyant and tall, and then this blonde streak. I had this George Michael, this Wham hair. It was way before Wham, but it was Sun In. I was like Sun In, coming, you know. God, it's a wonder I have any hair. But yeah, so I was very opposite of what they were looking for. But Monroe, what was your question? Monroe, who I played, Monroe. So Monroe was the friend of Sarah who followed her home, and Sarah was the daughter. And I kind of was there for like 2 years, and they were like, "You're always here." And so they went, "We've got to move you in upstairs." So they moved me into the attic. No, he was not supposed to be gay. I was not supposed to be gay. What happened? No, Monroe was never talked about being gay ever. It was just like I was this character that sort of came into this girl's life and then into this family's life. And the only time that the gay thing came up was Ted, when we would be rehearsing or we'd be doing a take or something, Ted would go, bring it down a couple of mints. I had had every sexually transmitted disease that there was possible to have because I was so very active. And I mean, I remember, was it herpes? That was the bad one. And that was like during my stand-up days, and herpes was the big joke and the gift that keeps giving and stuff like that. I had a herpes, and just down the road, down the check. So when this whole thing came up, my doctor is the one who suggested that I be tested because I am absolutely high risk. So he tested me, and he said, I'll let you know how, you know, what the results are. And I actually was having a dinner party, and I had people over, and the phone rang, and it was a cordless phone, and the phone was like on the counter back here. And I was sitting at the table with my guest, so I just reached over and I picked up the phone. It's like, pull up the antenna, and it's like, oh, hi, yeah, oh, yeah. It's like, and my doctor's saying, I need to, I wanted to let you know your results came in, and telling me I was positive. And I went, oh, well, that's a good thing, positive. And he said, no, it's not a good thing, and you actually, I need to see you as soon as possible. I never told anyone. Of course, I wasn't going to tell anyone. That would have been suicide. I think I would have lost my job with Ted. I really do. I don't think Ted would have wanted me around. I have no right to say that because I don't know. But I think that would not have been good. Oh, John. John Casey was my partner. He was my boyfriend. He was my husband before you could marry. We met in 1990 and at a sleaze bar, and this very unlikely relationship came up. I had mentioned earlier that I said there was a time when I thought I'd never tell my parents. Well, there was a long, bigger chunk of my life where I thought I'll never need to have a boyfriend. I'm never going to have a boyfriend. That's just not going to happen for me. First off, I don't know how that's going to work, and secondly, I don't need that. It's like, I got friends, and when I need to get some, I'll go get some. And so John was this person who came into my life, and we fell very much in love, and we were together. We both were HIV positive. That's something we shared our first night. He was on AZT, and he started declining about 3 years after we were together, and we'd moved in together by this point, and then I got a series in Canada, and I went up to Canada to shoot this series, and he really went downhill. And we had the last 2 years were up and down, and the last year was a rough year. And he passed away in 1996, literally right before the new cocktails were available. As a matter of fact, I had another old boyfriend who he and John were very similar. They were along the same paths and both getting sicker and sicker. And John W. went on the cocktail and boom, back to health, where John Casey just couldn't get a hold of it. It was too hard to come by. So he passed away in July of 1996. I was doing the AIDS ride, and it was 1997. John had passed away in 96, and I did the AIDS ride, California AIDS ride in 97. And you send out those letters to get pledges, to raise your money. And in my letter, I mentioned that John had passed away and that I myself am HIV positive. And so, anyway, someone, that letter found its way to a tabloid. And it was so it was kind of I was kind of outed about that. I never shied away from talking about it after that, ever, and I've always been upfront about it, and it's just a part of who I am.